At 72, I signed away my house, my business, and my retirement. With a smile, my lawyer begged me to stop. His lawyer looked like she'd already won, but nobody understood the one thing I knew. The documents weren't the end. They were the trap. My name is Margaret. I was married for 45 years. We built a life in a quiet town. 2 kids, a modest home, and a business that grew bigger than either of us expected. I thought I knew my husband. Turns out, I knew the version of him he wanted me to see. It started with small things, late nights, a phone that never left his pocket, and expenses that didn't match his stories. Restaurants, hotels, jewelry. When I finally asked, he laughed. Margaret, who would I even be cheating with at my age? But then I found the card, a birthday card in his coat pocket. To Richard, thank you for making me feel alive again. Love, C. Lipstick on the corner like a signature. That night, I put the card on the table. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He leaned back like he'd been waiting for the moment. I want a divorce, he said. Then he added the part that made my stomach drop. The business is in my name. The house is in my name. I made sure of that. I reminded him I worked there for years. He shrugged. Not officially, not on payroll. Good luck proving anything. And just like that, he wasn't my husband anymore. He was an opponent. 3 weeks later, I sat across from my lawyer, James, a good man. He read the settlement and his face tightened. He's offering you $50,000, James said, stunned. Plus furniture. That's it. I stared at the paper like it was written in a different language. $50,000 for half a lifetime. For the business I helped run. For the home I helped keep standing when money was thin. James said the fight would be hard. He structured everything carefully, he warned. This could take years. That's when I did something that looked like insanity. I reached for the pen. James grabbed the papers like they were burning. Mrs. Morgan, please, don't do this. Across the table, my husband's lawyer watched me like a hawk. She tried to hide her smile. Are you sure? James whispered. I looked up and smiled back. I'm sure. And I signed. In the parking lot, my hands shook so badly I couldn't start the car. I had just signed away everything. It felt like stepping off a cliff on purpose. For 10 minutes, panic screamed in my head. Then a quieter voice answered. Think. You don't need to win today. You need to win the end. I drove home to my tiny apartment and opened the one thing my husband always mocked, my filing cabinet. My husband used to laugh at me. Margaret keeps receipts like she's preparing for court. He thought it was a joke. He didn't realize it was a habit. And habits become weapons when someone underestimates you long enough. I pulled out folders from the early years of the business. Bills, letters, tax documents, registrations. Most of it was ordinary. Until I found one page, faded, old, and unforgettable. The original business registration, 2 names, 2 owners. Not his, ours. My name was right there, dated decades earlier, before he restructured everything into his name. And that's when I understood why signing was powerful. If he believed I'd surrendered, he would rush to file. He would move carelessly. He would expose himself. I needed someone who wouldn't talk me out of war, so I called the lawyer nobody hires unless they plan to win. His office picked up and tried to schedule me for next month. I said one sentence. I have original documents proving co-ownership of a multi-million-dollar business, and the settlement isn't filed yet. Silence. Can you be here at 2 p.m.? In his office, he scanned the papers, slow and quiet. Then he looked up and said something I still remember word for word. Mrs. Morgan, you didn't lose. You set a trap. He explained it clearly. We would challenge the settlement as unfair, incomplete disclosure, and coercive pressure. And then we would request what my husband feared most, a forensic audit. 2 days later, my phone rang. My husband. His voice sounded smaller than I expected. You hired that lawyer. Why are you doing this? I laughed once, short, controlled. because you tried to erase me. He repeated his favorite lie. The business is mine. So I delivered the first cut. I have the original registration with my name on it. Silence. Then the question that confirmed everything. Where did you get that? I smiled. From the place you never looked. That's when the threats started. Texts from unknown numbers. Drop the case. People will hear what kind of person you are. But what scared him wasn't my anger. It was the audit. Because people who tell the biggest lies usually hide the biggest numbers. And 3 weeks later, the report arrived. My lawyer placed it on the table and said, "Your husband didn't just cheat. He funded the affair with business money. Hotel stays, jewelry, rent payments, a car registered under someone else's name, hundreds of thousands." Then came the hearing. My husband sat confident until my lawyer showed the judge the registration. Then the letters he had signed years ago. Richard and Margaret, co-owners. One by one, the story he built collapsed under the weight of his own handwriting, and when his affair partner took the stand. My lawyer pulled up a message from his phone records. It wasn't romantic. It was careless. "Hope Margaret doesn't mind you spending business money on me, LOL." The courtroom went silent so fast I could hear my own breathing. The judge didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She said it was one of the clearest cases of marital fraud she'd seen. She declared the business marital property, ordered reimbursement for the misused funds, and awarded me the house as compensation for the deception. My husband stared forward like he couldn't understand what was happening, but I understood perfectly. He tried to leave me with scraps. Instead, he handed me proof. A few months later, I moved into a smaller home I chose myself. Not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, to breathe. My kids came over on weekends. I started volunteering at a legal aid clinic. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted other people to know one simple truth. You're not powerless just because someone says you are. And here's what I learned at 72. Keep records, trust your instincts, and never mistake quietness for weakness, because sometimes the calmest signature is the loudest victory. If you've ever been underestimated, I want to hear this. Would you have signed those papers like I did or fought immediately? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories with a final twist, subscribe.